Okay, so we have a question from Themis. I'm sure I mispronounced that, and I'm sorry about that. But the question is, how can I make an intro like the Dynasty soap opera? Let's take a look at that and see if we can deconstruct what they've done and then reconstruct it in Filmora. Okay, the first thing we need to do is we need to look at what are they doing. And here is the intro. I'll just play it one time. Okay, I'm just going to look at those first two transitions. There are more transitions, but they're all really built on the same concept. You know, they got the lines here and the title coming down. It's all done with keyframing, so nothing special there. And then when they do the individual stars, then they just do the bars there. So let's take a look at that from the beginning here. Okay, this is what it looks like, and this is what I came up with here. We will do that and that, and let's play that with the music. Okay, so we basically have the same transition here as the original Dynasty has. They have the bars coming up, and then they have, you know, they're blending the images, and they have the bars coming up again. So, okay, we're going to start by building a reusable transition. Once we've created once, we can use it over and over again. And we do that by combining a lot of little elements, and so there's a lot of little detail here. We would start by going into stock media because we need a black background, and in library, it may show up here if you've used it already, but in solid colors, we can find the colors we need. We need basically just a black background, and we want that background to be, and we want it to be 7 seconds long. So let's go over here. This is 7, I believe. And real quickly, yep, 7 is where we want to be. And we'll go back to home. Now, what we need above this are some rectangles. In fact, if we go back to the media, we can see that there's 11 of these lines in here. So we're going to need to create 11 of these that we're going to make transparent later on in the process. And we'll start by making just one. And we use the drawing tool, which should be on your toolbar menu. But if you don't see it, click this little icon here, and that allows you to go in and finding it. And here it is. And if you don't have it up on your toolbar, you can drag it up and you can drop it, and then you can click save, and then it will be available for you. Okay, so we're going to use this as our basic drawing tool, because what this is going to do is it's going to, as you can see here, allow us to show the underlying video. So we will start by drawing just one, and we just need to click this. And then we go up here in the preview window and we draw one skinny bar. Probably could be a little bit further over, but essentially what we're going to need is 11 of these. So let's set this one up initially, and then let's make it 7 seconds long. So every copy that we make of it will be exactly like this one. Okay, so we have our basic rectangle, and we need 11 copies of that. Now that's pretty easy to do. We select this bare track above the top track, and anything we paste will be added to this bare track. In other words, it will add another track for us. Unfortunately, we'll also move the playhead down the line as we do, but we can right-click on the original, and we can say copy. But note there's also a shortcut key, typical keyboard Control-C, and paste would be Control-V. So those keyboard shortcuts will make it very easy to do it. Although you can, you know, we could click copy here, and we could click paste. And we can see that it was added because we had selected this track above. It just made a track for us. But like I said, it moves the playhead down here. But now that we've copied it once, we don't need to do the copy. So we just do Control V, and that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so now we've got the 11 tracks, the 11 rectangles made, and we will take off the magnetic timeline. That will allow us to click on each track and just hit the delete key, and then we can get them all lined up. And here we go. We'll know we've done them all when we get to the top. Okay, so now we have our 11 rectangles. It looks like there's only one, but that's because they are all at exactly the same position. So we want the first one to be where it is. So then we'll click on the second one, and we will change using the position parameter in transform. And we can do that just by sliding it over, and we want a little black space in there. And then we go to the next one, and so forth. And I'll speed this up during the editing of the video, so you don't have to actually watch me do all 11. Okay, we now have all 11 set up, and we will click on one so that it's selected. Let's select all 11. Now we can move them as a group, and we will just kind of center them. Okay, once we've got them centered, we want to make sure we've got all 11 selected, and we're going to move them into position. We'll go ahead and give them all a keyframe here, and then we will just lower them with the Y until they're just out of view. The next thing we want to do is to move the playhead to the first seconds, 1 second on the timeline. Now we can raise up, let's take 4 in the middle. It doesn't really matter much, and at this point we would just use the Y to raise them up to where they're just at the top. Okay, and then we would select our next grouping that we want to raise, and I think we will just we're just going to, for this example here, we're just going to make 2. So we're going to select everything. Actually, what we're going to do is we're just going to select them from the top. We're going to hold down the Control key. If it's not selected, it will be selected. If it is already selected, it will be unselected or deselected. And then we'll make that the other group. So I'm going to hold down the Control key, click, 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 and you see we can unselect the ones we have already done. And we're going to make this the home position for all of the remaining ones. And we're just going to give it that. Then we're going to move 1 second up. And right here, and then we're going to raise all of them up at this location. And we don't have to actually make another keyframe because it will automatically be made once we raise them up. And so here we go. All right. Okay, to make these shapes on the outside here, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reveal the video below, and where we can see the actual shapes. Okay, so I didn't line up my 11 exactly like their 11, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and move into the home position. Maybe not. Maybe I will leave it out here so we can see these other 11. And what we're going to do is, rather than draw the shape from scratch, we're going to take a simple white background, and we're going to we're going to draw a pattern off of this. So we go back to stock media, and we go to the library, go to solid colors, and if you don't see white, go ahead and type it into the search bar, and then it will come up. And if you typed it in once, then you can do it and get it again. So I'm going to take this white shape, and I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to go ahead and extend it to my 7 seconds. And Now, what I'm going to do in order to draw the shape on here, I'm just going to change the opacity of this. So I'm going to go back to basic, and I'm going to go down to composition, and I'm going to change opacity to about 50%, just so I can see the outline of what I want to copy. I can see right away that the white, for some reason, doesn't really fill the whole box. So I'm going to go ahead and just make it a little bit larger than the preview window. Okay, now I can go and let's see here. Do I need to move it? Okay, I want to draw the shape before they start expanding, which is about here. I should use my arrow keys. Okay, right there, you see they got bigger. So I really need to copy this, because then once I start expanding it, I don't need to have it any bigger. So, and by expanding, I mean zoom in, but that's a later step. So all we got to do now is go to the mask, because we can add a mask to a white background, and we're going to go ahead and use the draw mask tool, and then we can just copy this like this, and this may take a bunch, and I'm not going to try to be precise. If you want to be precise, you can be precise, but this will allow me to exactly copy the shape. And you can see theirs isn't even all that smooth, so maybe they even use a similar technique, who knows. The key with this masking is to make sure that you end on the very first spot that you started with. And now I've got that shape. Now if I want to do these other ones, I'm going to have to repeat the process. I'm going to have to bring the white down again and extend it out and change the opacity. Oh, by the way, before I'm done with this, I want to make sure, and I go back and I set the opacity back to 100%. But this one here, I'm going to go ahead and reduce it again down to 50% so I can see it thereabout. It doesn't have to be exact. I just have to be able to see the outline. And here you can see the first one that I made. And now I'll make the second one here. Again, I'll go to the mask. I'll do the draw mask, and then I can draw my shapes just like this. And obviously when it's a curved shape, the more points you have along the line, the smoother the curve will be. But I'm not trying to be super duper on this. I'm just trying to show you the basic steps needed in order to create what we want here. And again, end on the very first one. And now change our opacity on the basic shape, not here on the mask, back to 100%. So now we have two. And I'm going to make these two the same on the other side. I'm going to use a shortcut here. But I mean, if you wanted to get all the details, you could certainly do it right there. So we've got our basic shapes. With my two shapes drawn, I'm going to go ahead and replicate them on the other side, and I'm going to do a little bit of a shortcut. I'm going to take both of them, and I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to create a compound clip. And I'm going to say other side, or I will call it far edge. Okay, far edge. Okay. And so we have that. I'm going to go ahead and copy it, Control C, and then I have this selected. So I'm just do a Control V, and I have it right here. Okay. And okay, there we go. Got to be careful there. Make sure we move back to the beginning so these things all line up. But what we want is we want these to be on the other side. And we can very simply do that by double-clicking on this. Fudge, we didn't want to double-click on it. All we want to do is go back to basic and use the flip tool. There we go. Now we got, this is the left and this is the right. So now we have them. And the only thing that's that these guys do is, and we'll start here, And we will now add to, we'll do it to this bottom one first, which is our left side. We're going to add a mask to the compound clip, and this is going to be the single line. And so we take the single line, and we can see we want it really be upside down, just like that. And we want this to start out all the way at the bottom, just like that. Okay. And I guess I could have used them both at the same time, but be that as it may, we go ahead and in this case, we're animating not the shape, but the mask. So we're going to click right here, and then we're going to move ahead 1 second, just like that. And we're going to raise the Y value. And by just sliding across the Y value, we're going to have the maximum. So now, when we move between the two, we can see that we're raising that shape. And we could have selected both of them. We could have done them at the same time. I didn't do that. But now we will go ahead and add a mask to the other side. And again, we will take this shape here, and let's see what we need to do. Do we need to spin it around? There we go, just like that. And we could have rotated it right here, but we knew we wanted 90, I guess. I could have just typed that in. And the other one is probably a -90. And I will go ahead and put it all the way down. And I'm going to keyframe that. Now, I'm going to make it go a little bit slower than the other side, kind of like what they do in theirs. So I'm just going to move, by spreading these apart, we actually change the speed at which they occur. And I'll demonstrate that in a second. But we just want to add our second keyframe. Here we're going to go up, up, up. Okay, so nothing happened for me because I forgot to click up here. So these are some of the basic errors that you'll run into. So we're going to delete that keyframe. We're going to line up with this keyframe here. We're going to make sure we select the one we actually want to work on, which is this one here. And let's hope that we have, and we're going to, at this point, let's raise the Y. Here we go. Now we got it. Okay. And just like that. But we want this to move a little slower. Right now they're moving in unisons. By moving this a little bit further out, let's say a half a second, we're going to get a differential. And there you go. You can see this one here is moving, and then this one is moving slower. So that gives us what we wanted. So now we have the basic shapes. And if we wanted to spread these out, I guess we could do that too. Or if we wanted to move these closer in, we could do that too. For example, we will go back to the basic shape here. And we'll just change the X position. And then we're making it closer here. Let's go down to this other one. And let's change this X position. And there we go. Now, when we play it back, we should have a pretty nice animation. And what I ought to do at this point is turn off the video down below. So I will just scroll all the way to the bottom here, and I'm going to deactivate our actual video. I'll go back up, go to the home position here, and let's play our animation. We got our bars coming up, and then we've got that. So that's pretty much that portion of it. Okay, so there's two more actions that happen. One is that everything expands and expands and expands until it's up like that. And then the last thing is the lines start going down again. So we need to add those two. And I'm going to, okay, here's our custom transition. And we now are at the maximum point where everything is extended. And the next action that occurs is there is a zooming in effect occurring. And so what we want to do here, and I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so we can see all of this other stuff. We're going to select everything and we're going to put it into one large compound clip. So we select it all, we right click, create compound clip, and this time we're going to call it Dynasty Transition. Okay, I just typed in Dynasty Transition and I'll type OK. And of course, I do have it from before, so this will be Dynasty Transition number 1. So we'll say that's OK. We have to apply the zoom in effect to the compound clip, but we need to go inside the compound clip to find where the last action stopped. Okay, let's find the last keyframe we added to the compound clip. And I think it's up in the wide bars. Okay, it stops at the, not quite the 4-second mark. Let's say the 5-second mark is where we want to expand it to. So by the time it reaches the 5-second mark, it gets expanded. So let's go back to the main timeline. We'll start at the 4-second mark, and we will put a keyframe on that. We will go to the 5-second mark, and this is where we're going to expand. So now we just increase this, and really, yeah, I guess both of them. We've got it locked, so we will do both of them. And so it expands it to it's about this size. You know, but I don't like the fact that we got that one there. So I'm going to also change the X position just a little bit, like so. Make it a little bit bigger like that. Yeah, that'll be good. So when we play it, when we get to here, we're going to start blowing it up. And then we go, there we go, coming up, coming up, coming up, up, expand. Okay. And the only thing now is to make these lines move down. We can't do that on the main one, but we can do it within. So we'll double click on it. And since these are no longer visible, we don't have to worry about them. But now we can make like a different pattern here, and maybe just for fun. Okay, so we stopped our expansion on the 5-second mark. Let's by the 6-second mark, we will have half of these go down, and then by the 7-second mark, we'll have the other ones going down. Okay, but that will come up after we finish this operation. So we will go in on the 5-second mark, double click. Want to select them all here, not just these. And we're going to set the positions here as they are. And then we're going to go to the 6-second mark. And we're going to now select every other one. We don't really need to worry about the outside ones because they're not visible. And so here we go, every other one. Yeah, that's it. And now we're going to reduce the Y value for the selected ones until there are until they're down. Okay. Then we're going to go another second to the 7-second mark. And here, using the same principle we used before, we hold down the control key and we just click on every one of them going down, and it will either select or deselect. So that will work okay for us. And okay, now we can send these guys down. We're ready to add our picture to our transition. We're going to move that up one line. And of course, it's not going to do that because we have our magnetic line turned on. So let's do it again. Okay. So we're going to put in our, and I believe what I used was this car video here. And I'm going to put it in here. And I'm just going to keep the project settings. So when we do this, of course, it we see that there's nothing happening. We can't see the car video. So how do we get to do the car video? And here's the secret to doing that. It's the use of the composition. And we will select this, our transition, in order to show what's underneath. This is how we blend it. We do multiply. And again, we don't see anything, but in the multiply mode, watch this. As the lines appear, the underlying video, whatever was in white, is now visible. It's sort of like chroma key. We got just one little thing that we'd like to do, and that is as this goes away, as these lines disappear, of course it turns all black, but we don't really want to turn in black. We want it to actually we want to fade that mask out, and all we really have to do that is to get rid of the black, right? So if we go into, let's say, where we want to, okay, I think we want to do this right about where this starts to come down. We want to start fading right there. So we will open this up by double clicking on it, and what we want to get rid of is the black. So at our peak is right here, and now things are starting to go down. So let's, starting at our peak right here, we'll select this, and we will activate the opacity at 100%. And by the time that it comes down to about, well, it comes down to here, we want it to be totally faded out. In other words, the picture behind it is going to be completely visible. But you know what? I'm thinking that I might want to, and you can play with this yourself, I might want to start the fading somewhere over along here. So I don't know, maybe along here. Got to keep in mind that whatever is black on here is going to block out the picture below. And so we do want it to sort of fade rather quickly. So let's go back and to the main timeline, and let's play that and see what happens. We have our, we don't need the sound down here. Okay, we have our transition working, and now you see right there, we added the fade to get rid of the black. And so now it's starting to show up, which is pretty much the way it works in the real transition. Using these transitions in combination is going to require us to add one more effect to each transition. And in order to do that, we need to combine the image with the transition that we just built. We're going to select those two, and we're going to create another compound. And we'll say car transition. And that's going to group those two together. And so they are a complete segment. And it's got the transition faded out nicely. Now it continues on before you're ready to start your next transition. This is an opening intro. There's a series of transitions. So by making it this way, we can now move ahead into the next one. Okay, we've successfully built our first transition. There will be one more thing that we will be adding to it. But just as it plays here, we can see it's doing all of the things that we want. And then since this is an intro, it's a kind of really short it's a very short clip. It doesn't go very far because it gets ready for the second transition right away. So we're going to build the second transition first, and then we're going to make one more change to this, and that's going to be a fade. So as the two pictures are on top of each other, this first initial scene is going to fade out. So for this second scene, we're going to just plop our picture down. Let's see here where we want to do that. We may want to do that. a little bit further down. Let's find the place where we want so the scene plays just a little bit, something like that. We'll put it here. Okay, so this is kind of a short clip. This is not something you guys would get involved in, but I'm just going to slow down the speed on it. And I'm also going to turn the sound off. And we'll take it like that so that it runs for a little bit. Okay, so we made our Dynasty transition 1, and we're going to put it right above here. Now, by itself, it's not doing anything because we need to add in the blend mode of multiply. And once we have that in there, it's going to show the picture through. But of course, we want to be showing the video down below because it's kind of being a double image. So let me just turn these off for a second, and we'll kind of refresh what we need to know about this. So I'm going to open this up, and as we scrub through this, we can see we've got the car image, the initial transition faded out, and now we're ready to start the second transition. And in the second transition, we have our bars and everything coming up, showing the image that's within our second clip on top of the first clip. So we need to figure out how to do that. And the secret to that is that after we combined our clips, that is our video clip plus our transition, we apply a modifier to this, and it's called difference. So let's go up and do that. And so we're just going to turn these off, and I'm going to turn on the ones that we're working on. This is our initial clip, and it works just fine. And in order to add that difference to it, we need to combine these into a compound clip. And we'll call this, I don't know what I call the first one, car transition, walking transition. Okay. And so now we have this walking transition, and we want it to be able to show this down below. And we can do that by selecting it, careful not to double click it, and then change the mode to a difference. Difference is all the way down here at the bottom. And here we can see that the black is now is allowing us to see the underlying image. And so we can play that. We got our opening transition, which is just one layer. And now we're going to add the next layer right here. And you can disregard this section. I'm explaining how to add a fade to the transition below. I believe the artifacts that I show on the screen in my transition is due to frame rate in my computer screen. So you need not add a fade in. You can probably skip this step. I've turned on the sound, and let's see how she plays. I think that sounds pretty good.